Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fourth episode of the Bigger Than Athletes podcast, a podcast that dives into the unseen side of Division One student athlete life. My name is Jason Smith, and I'm your host. I'm a current Division One soccer player at Utah Valley University, and I'm majoring in communications. The purpose of this podcast is to uncover the stories of athletes across different sports and their experiences both on and off the playing surface. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Today, our guest is Ashton Escamilla, a freshman midfielder on the Utah Valley men's soccer team, hailing from Fowler, California. Welcome, Ashton.
Hi, what's up, Jason? Thank you for having me on this podcast and everything, man. It's good to be here.
Of course, man. Thanks for giving us your time, and it's nice to interview a fellow Central Valley boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
both in Fresno, California, but man.
Yes, sir. But yeah. So, how's your semester been so far? Right now, you're still in Orem. How's it been school wise?
Oh yeah. I'm still here. Gonna be here for a little bit longer. Then I'm gonna leave back home. But everything's been going great. I mean, so far it's been smooth. It's been good. It's been a great experience, and I'm really enjoying it. So it's been awesome.
Glad to hear it. Were you able to go home for Thanksgiving at all?
Yeah, I went home for the week. Yeah, for the week and spent time with my family and friends, everyone that I haven't seen in a while. So it was really good to see them all.
And that was your
Yeah.
first time home since August, right?
No, it wasn't actually. I had
Okay.
went back home one other time, like during like the season and everything. But it was just for the weekend.
Right.
My one of my cousins was getting married, so they flew me out. Got to see her get married and everything, and so it was the second time. But yeah, I mean, it was great. So, but yeah, it was just that.
Good, man. Glad you got to do that. And it's definitely difficult for those first couple months away from home are always a little wild, and you miss mom's cooking. You're trying to settle into a new life, and those first 3 months, luckily you got a little break in between. But from August to November, it's very long and very kind of stressful with especially your first college soccer season. It's a lot. So I'm glad you're able to go back home and experience Thanksgiving with your family again.
No, I know. Yeah. So with you, you haven't been back at all, huh? So you're not going to be. This is going to be your first time going back.
I went home
This
for
up the
Thanksgiving,
winter.
definitely.
Oh,
So I
for
was able to go home.
Thanksgiving. That's right.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. So I've gotten used to it.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. But I mean, no. Yeah, that should be good. Winter break, Thanksgiving, all these times, all these festive times. I guess you could say you get to see your family and enjoy it. So yeah.
of course. For me, it was probably my longest time I've been. It's my longest time I've been away from home. I went home for spring break this past year, and I didn't wasn't able. I see my parents. They've come to our games in California, but it was my first time in 8 months going home for Thanksgiving. So that was the longest stretch
Wow.
I've gone for. I've gone for 6 months before. This time was the longest, so it was really nice to go
Ooh,
back home.
that's great.
So yeah,
That's
just want to get into your early life story. Who's Ashton Escamilla? Family, friends. Who are the people that have kind of molded you? What's your early life story?
I mean, I'm just a small town kid from Fowler, California. I mean, just a average guy from a small town that like nobody knows, and I've just slowly made my way up working through my whole life, whether that's with soccer or schooling, and I'm just here now. I mean, there's no crazy story to it or anything, but it's just yeah, I'm just a small town guy. I mean, I guess you could say like things are kind of the similar from you being from Fresno and everything, you know. But I mean, there's nothing really to it. Just yeah. I mean, I got a few friends back home who've always been my number one supporters. So, but that's basically been it. I mean,
Gotcha.
nothing else to it, I guess. Yeah,
So you're just Fowler, born and raised, never really lived
Fowler,
anywhere
born and
else.
raised. Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. So how many siblings do you have, Ash?
I've got two. I've got an older brother and a younger brother, but neither of them play sports. I'm hoping my little brother could be the next like genius of the family, I guess. He's really into like that techie stuff. He's like a tech wizard, you know.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I mean, my older brother right now, he's didn't go to school or anything, but he's working and doing good. I have a niece, so my older brother's married. He's got his niece. I'd say I've got a pretty big family though.
Right.
A lot of cousins, a lot of aunts, uncles, grandparents, you know, everything.
Yeah.
Very big family. So, I mean, it's great.
Are they all in the valley, like really close to Fowler, or are they kind of more spread out?
No, for the most part, yeah, we're all pretty much in the valley. I mean, I've got a few relatives that are out of town, up in like the mountain area,
Hmm.
just but majority of my family is in the valley and everything, so pretty close by.
Yeah,
I get to see them every day, so.
that's awesome. That's great. Yeah. So, kind of moving on from you're born and raised in Fowler. How'd you really get into soccer? Like, what were your first leagues and first teams you played for, and how'd you really get into that with none of your siblings playing sports?
So, I mean, ultimately, it was my dad. Um, he was a football guy. I guess you could say all around athlete, played every sport. But then once he got into soccer, like that became his sport. And then once I was born, he put that on me. Surprisingly enough, it wasn't too much on my older brother. He didn't really push that towards him. So I think he really wanted to like push it towards me and like try to get me into soccer. So it was him. And then once I fell in love with it, I started off like just a small leagues, rec leagues, just city leagues, just anywhere you could play. Really, didn't really know anybody. Just was playing in these random leagues, and then my dad ended up finding a club team, which is funny enough. I think it was Odyssey, and so I went there, and that was when I really like started to develop as a player. I knew nothing about soccer. Like I didn't know any of the fundamentals or anything. I was just, I guess you could say, not really raw talent, but like it was all new to me. So that was where I really started to develop. And then I slowly started playing on more and more club teams, just all around everywhere. And then slowly worked my way up, started playing at little academies in Merced. And then that's when I got to the Earthquakes and then San Jose Earthquakes Academy. And then after that, I went back to club and then ended up getting opportunity to play here at Utah Valley. So it's been a long experience, a long journey from team to team, but I mean that's how I kind of got into it and like my growth throughout it. So
Right. Yeah. So as you moved on from, of course, you played locally, and you then moved up to kind of club soccer, and more into the academy and higher levels of club soccer, and then into Division One soccer. What's probably the number one thing that you miss about soccer at a really young age, like age 8 years old to 12 years old? Like when you first started, what's kind of the first kind of thing you really miss, whether it's like the snacks you had at halftime or just any of those things? What's kind of the biggest thing that you really miss from your time as a young soccer player?
I think I miss, yeah, the snacks and like I think it was the victories that you would win with like your friends back then, because a lot of the times it was people that I knew, right?
Mm.
So it's like
Yeah.
people from back home that I knew, and it was just like the victories and like you said that the snacks that you'd get afterwards that you'd be able to share with, I guess you could say, your lifelong friends. And I mean, at the time, maybe classmates, like that I knew back home. And so it was just, yeah, it was just the experience that you'd get. And like, I guess the family feeling that you would get from playing with a lot of people that you knew. And then
Right.
obviously winning and the tunnels when the parents would put their hands up and you'd run
Yeah.
underneath. And yeah, it was just, I think those were like the best times. So,
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. I completely remember. I don't really remember the score lines. I don't remember like who scored the goals, but I just remember like the just like the rivalries that like were so big at the time. Like you'd be
yeah.
a week or two, you're like, oh, we're playing against this team in 2 weeks, and you're just so excited and so pumped for a game that's pretty insignificant, like a U10 rec league, and you're chanting for the World Cup final, but
Yeah.
nobody can tell you
Um,
otherwise. And the way
yeah.
yeah, I just went about it. I totally missed that as well. But when you were at Odyssey, or what would you say? Like you started moving up, of course, from like rec leagues to club, and then club to academy. When did you really, for yourself? I know your dad was a big part of your soccer career. When did you personally really like step into? I want to become a college player. I want to become a professional soccer player.
Um, hmm. I don't know. I think at a young age, I mean, I guess everyone wanted to. I feel like everyone that was an athlete, whether it's soccer or any other sport, like wanted to become something big, a pro or anything. But I don't think I ever really like thought like yeah, I want to go to college and play soccer. Like for me, it was just like pro. And then I think once I started getting older, and I realized like that isn't like that isn't necessarily how it works. You can't just jump, you know. And then I was like, okay, well, I like schooling. Funny enough, I like schooling, and so I was like, I could go to school and I can play soccer and do both things that I love. And so, I mean, I guess it was just the maturity of it. I mean, as I started getting older and started realizing like that's what I want to do, and then that's what I'm gonna do, and I need to know my steps and know what I have to do to get there. So
Right. Huh. For me personally, I think a similar part of like um I always want to become a professional soccer player. Like after I watched the 2010 World Cup, it was always like that's where I want to be. That's where I want to be at one point in time.
yeah,
It's on that stage. But I think because both my parents are college professors, they kind of really drilled in the idea if I had to go to college and play collegiate sports in order to go play professionally. That's the way they kind of saw it, or that it's kind of like education was a non-negotiable. And
yeah,
so
I
I
get
really,
that.
yeah, I kind of saw it
No,
as a part of the pathway.
no, yeah, definitely, I could see that. But I guess it was. I guess the big reason was because both my parents didn't go to college, so
Mm.
both of them are just high school graduates, worked, you know, and then became, I guess, successful with working. And so schooling wasn't ever really, I mean, it was drilled into my head too, but it wasn't really like a big like you're going, you have to this and that. It was always like you can be great, you can do this, and it was kind of like a decision for me, I guess. Like it was a
Right,
decision that I had to make. And so I could see those two different pathways, you know, like I guess it was just never pushed on me as much as I like maybe your family pushed on you just because like you said your parents were professors or whatever, you know, they did all that schooling and everything. So
right.
that's crazy.
Yeah,
But
but that's just how it is. And I think there's value from both perspectives of like one is a perspective from like your side is like that's a gateway of opportunity that your family hasn't really explored too much because your parents are both high school graduates. And like if you have the opportunity to pursue it through soccer, then like it gives you that opening to kind of break through that ceiling and like go on to new heights. And for me, it's kind of more like continuing tradition. And I think like
yeah,
it puts different kind of pressures, but the kind of same pressures to go and do what your parents want you to do, which usually they have a lot of wisdom and they have like a lot of they help you a lot and they have the elderly wisdom to decide to like discern what's best for you. But there's definitely kind of like pushbacks of no, I want to do this, I want to do that. Where do I go? That result from it. So that's definitely a thing that could probably affect you for sure. But
no, yeah,
as you
definitely.
transition to going to Merced and then going to San Jose, what was that like? What was kind of sacrifice for your parents, and how did you really want to step into those academy environments?
No, yeah, it was just the big sacrifice was mainly the driving. I mean, it was a lot. I mean, my parents were putting in a decent amount of money just driving, and it was a great experience, but it was just like, yeah, that's just the driving was a sacrifice. I was going basically every day of the week except for Fridays. I was driving Monday through Thursday for practices, and then Saturday and Sundays we'd have games. And so it was a big sacrifice with that. And then like with me with schooling, I would have to do schooling in the car. Like, I mean, I was going to school every day, but right when the bell rang for school to end, I was jumping in the car, doing homework in the car, and then getting home 1, 2 o'clock in the mornings. And so it's just a big sacrifice, it took a big toll on me, but it was ultimately something that I wanted to do and wanted to, I guess, explore into and really learn more about and everything. And so we did it. I mean, my parents and everything they sacrificed too, and probably the most they sacrificed the most. But I mean, it taught me a lot of things, and so it was one of those things where like I'm very grateful that I did and got to experience and everything. So
Definitely. What age were you when you first started going to Merced?
Merced, I think I was about, oh, I don't remember. I think it was like maybe 13.
Okay,
I was really young. I mean, I'm not entirely too sure, but it was somewhere around
middle
that
school,
age
beginning of
group.
high
Yeah.
school. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I completely can relate to that. Not as much as drastic as you were saying of doing it every single day, Monday through Thursday, but there were multiple times that I remember when I was doing PDP or player development program, which is kind of like an equivalent of Olympic development program for everybody else outside of California. And I'd be doing it usually once a month in middle school or end of elementary school to middle school. I was driving up to Merced. It was probably an hour and a half or 2 hours for you, but more of an hour for me. I have to like again, my parents would have to get off work a little bit earlier, come pick me up from school, and take me straight to. I had to like pack both backpacks and all my soccer gear before and drive up
Yeah.
there. But there'd be times where, as I progress through the ranks, I get invited to train centers, U.S. soccer train centers. I'd be going to play against academy kids as a club player at Odyssey, and I'd have to drive to the Bay Area for a 5 p.m. train session, and then drive back at 7 p.m. So I'd be leaving school around 1 to drive to the Bay Area, get out of my seventh period, and drive all the way up there for an opportunity to just go train with some better players on a Wednesday in the middle of the school year and do that once a
Okay.
month and just kind of that sacrifice my parents driving back in at get home at 11:30 midnight, wake up at 6 and go to school again the next morning, and just those sacrifices that we had to make, especially driving wise in the valley, to get quality opportunities to improve as soccer players.
No, yeah, definitely. And that's what I like with us, like it's not exactly the same, but we've been through similar things just being from where we're from and I guess having the same similar past. Like it's not exactly the same, but like we both had those same sacrifices and everything. So it's great to hear that like there's somebody else that's been through similar things that I have too. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
So then you were playing at Merced, and then what was kind of the turning point of okay, maybe the level that I remember the academy wasn't doing great in Merced. It wasn't always doing very well, or just like they're playing against really good teams. When do you really make a choice that you want to go to San Jose and be in a better environment, and at that point sacrifice more, but for a better opportunity?
Well, it was a point in time where like yeah, like you said, the Merced it was kind of falling off, but not so much because we didn't have the talent. It was getting to the point where I think we didn't have the funds.
Hmm.
And so I think it was I don't remember the age group. It might have been like one of the age groups. I don't know. It was like the last age group. Like they didn't go U16, 17s,
Right.
18s. We didn't have those older age groups. And so once it got to that point, people started realizing like our kids can't stay here any longer. There's just no more developing just because they didn't have the funds and they didn't have the coaches
Right.
to coach these older age groups. And so once it got to that point, that was when my dad ultimately decided like we need to find somewhere else. And so there was a good, I think, couple of months where I wasn't in academy at all. I was just playing, just really just practicing with some club teams. And then I got the opportunity. I met a teammate at Merced, and he had went to the Earthquakes once everyone kind of like went their own separate ways and kind of quit, I guess you could say, with the whole Merced. He went over there to the Earthquakes because he knew some people and everything, and through him, that's when I got my opportunity, and that was when me and my dad decided like, okay, yes, we're gonna try and see how it works out. And so that was kind of like the turning point right there. It was just the academy really just like ending at a certain point because of funding and everything, and then me getting an opportunity from a previous teammate. So
Right. Gotcha. And so you're there for your sophomore year of high school, year or freshman year of high school at Earthquakes.
yeah, it was the freshman year, my freshman year, and I think it was like a yeah, no, just basically my freshman year. I was there.
Hmm.
Um, maybe a little bit of um, maybe a little bit of was the eighth grade year, like ending of it, summer-ish. I'm
Right.
like timeline's kind of all over the place just because my memory is really bad. But I just remember being there, yeah, freshman year and kind of my whole freshman year and everything. So yeah.
And why did you stop after your freshman year?
So once it got to my freshman year, once I had ended the year and the whole season with soccer and everything, we had our meetings with the coaches, and ultimately I got cut.
Okay.
The coaches told me that they liked me. They thought I was a really good player, but they didn't think that I was going to get any playing time the next season. There's a lot of guys. It was when the age groups were merging too. So like
Hmm.
you got a guy that's older, taller than me, stronger, playing for practicing and playing a position that I play. We're both battling for this position,
Yeah.
and they told me ultimately that I wasn't going to be playing.
Yeah.
And so they had cut me in, and that was when I had to leave and everything. And so I came back down to club teams in Fresno and everything. So
How do you remember feeling about that after kind of being quote unquote cut? What was your kind of like initial reaction, if you can remember? Like, were you frustrated, sad with the loss of this opportunity, or being like, okay, like this door closes? What was kind of the overall feeling from you?
No, yeah, I was devastated. I remember just thinking like I was like I couldn't believe it just because I thought I performed pretty well the season before.
Hmm.
And so I at least thought I was gonna maybe be there, and I didn't think I was gonna be playing all the games or even starting. I just thought I was still gonna have a spot on the roster and everything. And then once they told me I wasn't, I was devastated. I was like, I couldn't believe it, and I ultimately started thinking like, well, what are my next steps? Like, I need to get back. I mean, the level was so high. I loved the experience and everything, and so I started thinking like, how do I get back to the same level and same everything
Hmm.
that I was at before? And so, but no, yeah, I mean, I wasn't really thinking about the next steps that I was going to be taking. It was just other than just getting back to academy. I wasn't really sure how the whole opportunities and everything was going to work out, but I was just devastated. That's all I can remember. Like just, and especially like a lot of the times the coaches, they're pretty, I wouldn't say brutal, but they're honest. They
Yeah.
tell you like, they tell you how it is. And so just hearing that as a young kid, like you could just only imagine how you would feel with it. But I mean, ultimately, it worked out for the best. So
So what
yeah.
were your steps afterwards after your that happened? What'd you end up doing?
So after that, I had joined back up with Odyssey,
Okay.
and then played with them for a little bit. Went to showcases. Started. That's when I um really started pushing with like working hard. And then I tried going back to an academy team, but I wasn't getting any like real big chances or opportunities. And then that was kind of during the whole timeline of COVID too. Like once that started, it kind of
Mhm.
threw everything off. But no, yeah, I just kept pushing and working and tried getting back, and then couldn't really. So then I kind of just stayed with club teams for a good while.
Okay. And you're playing high
And
school
then
soccer at the time too?
yeah, high school soccer, and which was fun because well, playing academy, you're not allowed to play high school soccer. So like it was my first my first time with high school soccer and the whole experience with high school soccer, which I really enjoyed. It was amazing. I mean, I got to be with a bunch of people that I grew up with my whole life, and
Hmm.
so yeah, it was just a great experience.
Right. Yeah. I think the for me, I hate high school soccer. Like I was really more of like
Yeah,
the this level. Like I didn't really. I went to a high school that's outside my neighborhood, and also I commuted from um, Southern Fresno to go to play at Odyssey in Clovis. So none of the players I really played with were like ones I grew up with, and I was like the only white kid on a team full of Hispanics
yeah,
usually. And so they all be playing Sunday league and all year, and then they played high school soccer, and the level was not very high. And me as a very competitive and driven person wanting to play at the highest
right.
level I could, I just did not enjoy it at all. But I totally could see where people who they get play with their buddies they've known since they were really young, or like your classmates. When you have that kind of connection, it's really fun. But for me personally, I didn't have the greatest experience, and I kind of quit.
Yeah, no, I mean that's understandable. I think the thing with my school too is we're a really small school, and so just from that, like we get put in like a category of bad schools,
Hmm.
with like sporting wise. But my school being small, we still had a lot of guys playing club soccer and trying to try out playing academies and everything. And so we had a decent team. And I mean, us being we were Division 5, and I,
Right.
I like you wanted to be at the best level. And that's how I thought too. Like I wanted to be Division 1 school. I wanted to be playing at the top level, getting better and everything. But it was really when we started scrimmaging and playing against these higher division schools that I realized like our school was extremely good for being small and everything. We played
Yeah.
against. I remember one of the years we played against Clovis High, and we beat them 2-1.
Yeah.
Being a Division 5 school playing against, I guess, like lower level teams, we beat them, and it was a great feeling. And I think that's what really kept me going with the whole high school thing was just, I mean, we had a great level, and everyone really had like the willingness to like not give up, and like even though it was Division 5, like everyone had the heart, everyone wanted to keep progressing and getting better. And so that just made it like the whole environment, it just like was getting better altogether. And so
Hmm.
I guess it was just a different situation, but
Yeah,
it
that's
was,
awesome
yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it.
for sure. So with now you're kind of coming to you had your COVID year during your sophomore to kind of junior year, and then you kind of your senior year you're playing most of the time. So how'd you really get connected to UVU and coming to a Division 1 school?
Okay, so with my whole senior year, once I got back, I had to really get in shape because whole COVID and everything, that one put me on a few steps back. Like I was trying to play catch up with everything.
Hmm.
But no, yeah, it's a funny story with UVU because I had joined up a new club, moved away from Odyssey, joined up a club in Manteca, and that's where we really started pushing with showcases and tournaments and everything, just like to really get college coaches to notice me. And so with UVU, funny enough, they didn't see me at no showcases or anything. It was actually my dad. So I have no idea why or what made him do this, but he had emailed, I want to say Alex. He had
Hmm.
emailed Alex or UVU or something like that. He got somehow an email and emailed them saying like pretended to be me, saying like my email was messed up or whatever. My dad being my agent and everything, you know. He emailed them and said like, hey, like here are my highlights. Are you guys interested in looking at me or something like that, you know, along the lines of
Yeah.
that. Just kind of just getting in touch with them and crazy enough, they emailed back. Alex emailed back. Somebody emailed back from UVU. I want to say it was Alex. And then emailed back and then ended up my dad forwarding to my email. So then I started getting emails from Alex, me and him emailing back and forth. And it was basically just me sending highlight videos. Just, I mean, I think I sent him around like 20 to 25 highlight videos
Wow.
of just like every time I got highlight videos, I was just sending it,
Yeah.
just like pushing towards it. And at the time too, I was talking to other schools, but it was really like, I want to go to this school. So like every time it was just emails after emails. And then once he really started, I guess, started getting a liking of me and everything as a player, ended up sending Coach Nuno. He's not here anymore, but
Yeah.
he had sent him to go watch me in San Diego.
That's right.
And I never met him or anything, but I guess he had watched me and then told Alex, like, yeah, this kid's pretty good. Like, keep following up with him. And then Alex said, like, yeah, Nuno like you. Like, we're going to start taking the next steps. And so really started getting into it. And then we started talking. And that's when he had told me, like, would you like to come play over here? And I was like, of course, like,
Right.
definitely. And then that's how I got here. But it's just like a crazy series of events that happened that I would have never thought that would have happened. And so it was a really interesting experience. But
For sure.
yeah,
Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool story. And it's funny that your kind of dad was kind of working that through you. A lot of times, some player or some players, or the players' parents are sometimes really um, they're really like hands on with the whole recruiting process and with, um, yeah, like just helping the kid out. And other times, parents are like really laid back, like, nope, like the kid's going to do all of it. It's his journey, it's his responsibility. So it's cool to see that your dad was invested, but you're also putting a lot of work in with all your highlights and editing that stuff up and saying it over as quick as possible. That's really an underrated skill that a lot of players don't think about is how you can market yourself. But kind of transitioning to this kind of little last segment of our podcast is kind of a little bit of a season reflection. Your first semester at UVU, from the soccer aspect, what were some things that you really enjoyed, things that you really grew in, or some things that were a little disappointed that you hope to have changed in the future?
no, yeah. So I mean, the first whole semester and everything with soccer and everything, it just went amazing. It went great. I mean, I know my favorite part of it was just practicing every
Mm-hmm.
day. Like I was waking up thinking like I can't wait to go to practice. Like I don't know if a lot of people get like that, but like every day I was like I wasn't thinking about anything else but practicing with the team.
Yeah,
I was thinking like how is the practice going to go today? Are we going to play small-sided games or are we going to play a big scrimmage or little things? And so that was just my favorite part, just waking every day going to practice and I mean, ultimately bonding with everyone in the locker rooms and
mm-hmm.
everything. And so that was my favorite part. I think my least favorite part was just not being able to play as much, you know, like
Yeah,
everyone's wanting to come in and play and get their opportunities and stuff, and it's hard. I mean, you have to constantly be working and everything, and so that was probably the least my least favorite part. But I understood like I needed to get better. I needed to grow as a player. I needed to do a lot of things that were gonna ultimately make me better. And so even though it was a sucky thing, like it kept it kept making me grow as a player and mature, I guess you could say. And so yeah,
Definitely.
I mean,
So with you ended up making your college debut and you made it against Santa Clara. Can you run me through a little bit? I know memory maybe isn't your greatest thing, but like, can you run me through your kind of thoughts? You're playing from your family. It's your first time playing an official college soccer game. What's going through your mind as you step onto the field?
no, yeah. So right when I got called over, and them telling me, Alex and Kyle telling me like you're gonna get in the game right now, I just remember thinking like, wow, like I'm excited. There was no nerves or anything. It was more like I'm happy. Like I was
Yeah,
constantly smiling. I was like laughing just because like I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was like you said, like I was in front of my family and a lot of people that I knew. So it was like I was just excited. I was overwhelmed with joy. There was no nerves, and I remember going in thinking like I might not be in for long, but every tackle or every challenge that I might get, I'm gonna try to make them and make sure that like every little thing is perfect, like
hmm,
no matter what. And so that's what like my mindset was. I was just like going in like it doesn't matter how long you're in, just make it the best time that you have.
yeah.
And then and so yeah, that was it. But it was just a lot of joy and a lot of excitement that was going through my mind. So
I
it
bet.
was it was a great thing.
I bet that feeds into want to have that feeling a lot more going forward and continue to have that excitement of seeing your name in the starting 11 and see your name getting called over to sub in. So those little victories are definitely something.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think the little victories, like you said, like those are the things that like keep you going and keep you wanting to push, grow as a player and everything, and get your time and everything. So it's definitely a feeling that I feel like everyone should be able to feel.
For sure. So what would you say in our last little segment of what are your kind of your goals for the future here at UVU as well as beyond UVU?
I think with schooling and everything, right? I want to get my degree and everything, but then the soccer aspect, I want to continue to grow, get more playing time, and hopefully become the starter and everything, and really do well as a athlete. And then beyond, I hope to continue my path with soccer, and if not, then be able to pursue my path with my degree and everything. And so, but ultimately, I think my mind's set on pursuing soccer and being able to take those further steps after college into soccer. So that's what I'm really striving for and hoping for.
100%. Love your holistic approach of having a backup plan and also following your heart and following your passions for both on the off the field. But with that, I just wanted to thank you, Ashton, for being on the podcast and giving us your time to share your story and all the things you've gone through it. I really enjoyed it. I hope all the viewers are enjoying it too. Of
No, yeah, thank you. Glad to be here and glad that I'm very grateful that you had invited me onto here.
course, man. So I just want to thank everybody for listening to the fourth episode of the Bigger Than Athletes podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave a like, subscribe for more content. Thanks, guys.